Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you very much for coming. So today we have another question. Okay, so my question is from Frank. And he asks, why does it happen that I can't seem to control thought impulses such as open your eyes during the session and outside of it? It often looks like I got these impulses under control, but then I would lose my control seconds later and the impulse takes over. It feels as if I'm remotely controlled. So he writes a lot in German actually. So he talks a little bit about this. So I try to translate. During the meditation, I notice that my ego voice suggests to open my eyes and have a look at the watch. But then on the inside, I'm smiling in a friendly way, and I explain my ego voice that I will keep my eyes closed. And then I relax consciously again, and suddenly I notice that I'm about to open my eyes. So even though he has this this determination not to give in to the thought impulse or the intent to open his eyes and to look at his watch and kind of end the meditation session prematurely fast in a fast way, he makes this conscious decision, okay, I'm going to stay here, but I'm not following that impulse. And as he makes consciously this decision of not following that impulse, and he's about to relax away from it again, back into the meditation, he's opening his eyes. And so he wonders about why is it that even though I intend something strongly, and the next moment, shortly after, the intention immediately is vanished and I just do what I didn't want to do. So maybe some of you know that. I personally do know that actually. It's a pretty similar thing. Sitting in meditation, feeling like, okay, I want to end the session now, I want to move, I want to get out of it. And then I usually tell myself, no, just stay put. And there is a technique that you can do actually at the end of every meditation. You can either go by time and with a bell, like a timer, that kind of rings at the end of your session and you open your eyes, you follow that timer. Or when you feel that you want to stop, you relax again. And you do that for 3 times. And you relax again for a felt 10 minutes. So you notice that you're becoming nervous, that the mind wants to get out, it wants to escape, it wants to run away. Come back. Here is where the real work actually needs to be done. You're out of your comfort zone. That each and everyone has to decide for themselves and actually clearly discern for ourselves. Right now I'm out of my comfort zone, I just want to stop, I want to get out of the session. Well, here is where there is actual real stress. The whole point of meditation is to show you something inside of yourself that is not stressed, regardless of the circumstances. And so if we give in to every little impulse of stress in our body, that means we're not really practicing. We're not really cultivating the mind. We're jumping after every little impulse, like, come on, just, there is an itch, scratch it, and you immediately scratch it. Or another example is just a fidgeting body. The body being constantly fidgety, constantly moving around. Because normally you can see that people who do a lot of meditation, they're usually more calm in their body, are not moving so much. They're not so uncomfortable within themselves anymore. And then you have people who are just at the beginning of the meditation, there's a whole lot of fidgeting, nervous energy. Sometimes you see people sitting somewhere waiting, looking into their phone, and then like kind of whipping their legs. Tick, 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 tick. This is disease. This means we are absolutely not relaxed in the body at all. There is no settled energy there. We're not, you can say this word that comes out of the Taiji jargon to say, we are not sunk internally, we're not relaxed, not comfortable within ourselves. So we want to cultivate that sense of being settled and comfortable within ourselves, but we cannot do it if we give in to every little impulse that comes out of our mind and our body, and we just follow it. Then we're not really cultivating the practice. You can also translate that to emotional impulses, by the way. Say you're getting angry. And most people, they immediately lash out. They get angry and bam, they say something they later regret. It happens so fast, they don't even notice what's going on. Ajahn Mahabua, he said one time that the delusions are a little bit like sitting on top of our head, using our brain as a bathroom. And once they have done their business, they just run away. In a way, it's like this. Sometimes anger invades our being, and then it makes us do and say things, and then it quickly runs away. And then there we are with the results of our actions. Oh God, I wish I wouldn't have said that. Or, oh my God, I shouldn't have yelled. And for some people, it ruins their entire life. One episode of anger, it can ruin your entire life if you follow it through. That is not rare, actually. One episode of uncontrolled outlashing of emotion can completely destroy your existence. Cost you your job, can cost you your relationship. Sometimes you say things in a fit of anger to your spouse. Bam! You said it. And then suddenly you see the eyes of your spouse turning very sad. Did you really mean that? But you've already said it. The harm has been done. Words are like an arrow. Once you release the arrow, there's no way of getting it back. It flies and hits its target. That's why it is very wise to know clearly what you say before you say it. To know the emotional state that you're in before it comes out of your mouth or it comes out of your body. And either infects other people as well. Anger very often is compared to fire. It is very wise to kind of cool the fire down, not allow it to spread. Keep it under control. Not allowing it to come out of our mouth and to burn other people. Also very often delusions are likened to poison. That's another example. So poisonous states of mind. And so it makes sense for a meditator to train composure and calmness in the body. And that comes before the mind. The body is easier to take care of than the mind. Because the mind is just absolutely insane if you haven't done any spiritual practice. And most people don't think that their mind is insane. They would think, no, I'm pretty normal. I'm okay. And it's just like everyone walks around on planet Earth. Everyone seems to be totally okay. And yeah, I'm totally fine. And then, but if you would kind of visualize a person's mind throughout the day, if that would be on display for everyone to see and hear, the thoughts you have. Let's say, for example, if you're a man and you're meeting a beautiful woman and she could see every single one of your thoughts. Would that be pleasant for you? I could see every single one of the images that go through your head. Oh man. It's good that this is not the case, right? And vice versa, right? It's not only that men have these kind of thoughts, but women too. In different ways. About different things. And not only that, but just in general, the mind's constant talking throughout the day. It would be fitting to say, I have a voice in my head. It's correct. I have a voice in my head. But you don't say stuff like that publicly. It sounds odd. It sounds like you're a crazy person. That's another proof that we have a voice constantly in our head telling us what to do. Not only telling us what to do, it also tells us who you are and who you should be and who you might have been if you haven't been who you were. It's a voice of regret, guilt, shame, worry, hope, fear. And the only agenda of that voice is, I want to be happy. That's all it wants. And it tries to constantly create happiness with whatever it does. Whatever it tells you to do. Get over there, do this, say that. You shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have done that. This was a mistake. And so it goes on and on and on. Day and night. Just imagine you sit on a park bench and everyone can hear your thoughts about people that walk by and just total random stuff like crazy stuff that comes into our head, music, sounds, just plain weird thoughts. Your imaginations, like how you imagine that, if I had superpowers and then I could tell my friends and they were like, whoa, Tobi, you have superpowers. You're awesome. What? You can fly? And I'm like, yeah, I can fly. Look. And then I imagine myself fly through the air and then they're all like, whoa, it's Tobi. Is that Tobi up there? And I'm like, yeah, it's me. Thank God nobody can see that. But we all do stuff like that. We're all in that, in various versions. We're imagining ourselves as superheroes, being celebrated by everyone else. Or we imagine ourselves as failing terribly and then everyone kind of like treating us like an outcast. Or many, many things that come through the mind. Crazy, madness, non-stop. No wonder that it's very hard for most people to be genuinely happy. We're too crowded for happiness, too full. Happiness requires space, it requires availability. And if we're unavailable, happiness has no place. If you're full of thought, if you're full of words, happiness has no place. And that's why we train to become still, and to go beyond thought. I'm saying to go beyond thought. I'm not saying to get rid of thought, because it's not at all about getting rid of thoughts. It's about going beyond it, transcending it. Just getting out of that thought game. Look, there are other things to you too. There is an aspect of silence to you. You're experiencing it right now. You might not be conscious of it, but if you're looking at your own mind right now, in that moment as I talk, you will find that your mind is completely quiet right now. It doesn't say anything. Not a word. There's no word in your head right now. Have you noticed? As you're listening to my words, your mind is empty. But we don't notice it. We just don't notice it. So I can stop thinking. You are not thinking right now, as you're listening to me. Not thinking about anything. That's why, by the way, we like to listen to things. We like to listen to music. We like to watch TV. It puts us Eckhart Tolle gave this very beautiful example of going below thought or above thought. So what watching TV, watching movies, listening to music or conversation does, it puts you below thought. But right now, as I've pointed out, are you aware that right now you are not thinking? Now you're above thought. That's the slight difference. Consciousness makes all the difference. You see, babies, they are pretty present. They're very much in the moment. They just don't know it. When you're watching a movie, you are very present. But you don't know it. You're actually not thinking. Listening to music, if you really listen to it, if it's not like in a restaurant and the music is just background noise, but you're actually listening to it, you're really paying respect to it, you give it your full attention, then you'll find also it's pretty easy to stop thinking. And that we perceive as pleasant. It's nice. Not thinking is nice. That's why we go after watching a nice view. You go to Prom Tep Cape in the south of Phuket, you watch the sunset. Wow. You're stunned, speechless. For a few moments, but it's enough to charge you. And that's the same thing happens in meditation, just by the way. It makes you quiet enough so that your mind can charge, like your phone does every night. It charges. And so your mind should charge too, right? And that's how your mind charges. A well-charged mind is a happy mind, is a healthy mind, a strong mind with a good attention span, feels rested, it feels comfortable within itself. You are grounded within yourself. You're rested within yourself. That is the result of a well-composed mind, a well-trained mind. And in order to train your mind, and to come back to Frank's question, in order to train your mind properly, you have to restrain yourself. That's one aspect of the practice, and it's a really important aspect. We have to learn to restrain ourselves. And we start with the most obvious things, our actions. What we say, what we do, how we act, how we behave in social settings, and when we're alone. Maintaining a spot-on code of morality. Behaving like a wise, noble person would. Behaving in a way that you would respect yourself. That is important. And that is what restraint is all about. You are cultivating good, positive actions, and you're abandoning those actions which lead to harm, both for yourself and others, both right now and later. So that in itself is quite a task. And then we bring the restraint into our meditation practice, into the session itself. And here, what Frank does is an example of restraint. You try to keep your eyes closed and stay in session. That requires some degree of awareness. You just not follow your impulse, but you're actually aware of, there is an impulse. That is a higher level of consciousness right there. A true practitioner of meditation, we do not follow likes and dislikes. That is true practice. If you follow preferences, you're not practicing meditation. You're in your comfort zone. No matter how heroic your preferences might appear to the outside world, it's still your preference. And if you follow preference, you're not on target. So here is one point where we learn not to follow our preference. There is an impulse. Can you notice it? Are you conscious enough to notice your preferences? That requires a high level of awareness. You might notice your thoughts, you might notice your emotions and feelings, at least the coarse ones. But do you notice your likes and dislikes? Or are you still following them blindly? And so the real practice, where it's actually getting to the bone marrow of the practice, this is at liking and not liking. The Buddha calls these two energies craving. Like the energy of aversion, pushing something away from you, you don't want to experience that. And the other energy is the energy of attachment, wanting to experiencing something. Liking and not liking. And here's where the deep practice actually takes place. See if you can do it. Next time when you sit and you have an itch, a mosquito just landed on your cheek. Stay put. Don't move. The Dalai Lama has once said, it's a funny quote, for those who think that small things don't make a difference, try sleeping one night with a mosquito in a room. Small thing, huge difference. And that small thing can show you just how irritated the mind is by such small stuff. That shows just how relaxed we actually are. And there in these moments we have to be honest enough to actually face it. Wow, I'm losing my mind over a mosquito. As you're sitting there, maybe ants are crawling all over you. They're crawling all up in your pants, you're just sitting on an ant street. Just sit. I've done it several times. It's fantastic practice. It's not comfortable, but it shows you that through awareness there is a way out of misery, no matter the circumstances. You don't have to suffer. Even with ants in your pants. You don't have to suffer. You can be totally relaxed and happy. Even if it feels not good. But you can relax. These tiny bastards, they bite you, they just go in every little crease of the skin and just start biting away. And they find the nerve points on your skin. They're really clever. They just don't bite anywhere. They bite right at the nerve points. So that it hurts really bad. Just stay quiet. Don't move. Don't react. And relax. There's your practice. Or just stay quiet in the body. That's challenge enough for most people. That requires a determination. You need to sit down and actually vow, okay, I'm going to stay put and going to stay quiet. No matter what happens, I will relax. Now Frank asks, why is it that even though I do have that determination, in the next second it's shattered? That's just simply because there is no mindfulness. There's a lapse of mindfulness. Mindfulness for a short moment is interrupted. It's not there anymore. So immediately impulses come back. We immediately react to life. We're not anymore in charge. We're just bound by a reactive habit pattern. The mindfulness comes back after that has happened. That is perfectly fine. There's no need to worry about it. It will pass. And the stronger our mindfulness becomes, the more continuous it becomes. Then it flows throughout the day. And that's a very difficult task, to maintain our mindfulness throughout the day. This is our main practice. To be aware of what? To be mindful of what? Well, the Buddha has given the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Being the first one is the body. Being aware of the body. The body walks. The body sits. Can you just be aware of the body sitting as it sits? For as long as it sits. The body lies down. You're just aware of the body lying down for as long as it lies down there. The body walks, sits, stands, lies down. 4 postures. 4 postures just means all the time. You're always in one of those postures. Right now you're sitting. Soon you'll be walking and standing. then sitting again, then lying down. Do you know what's happening to your body as it is happening to your body? As you're brushing your teeth, are you aware how it is like to brush your teeth? Just being there with your body, filling your body with consciousness. And normally we don't do that. Many people, they actually tell me that they do not feel their body. I hear that many times. This is quite shocking. I ask them, can you feel your legs right now? And they're like, wait a second. I'm not sure. But how do you know that you have legs? There is something there. Yep, that's it. Just take that. It's good enough. And if you pay attention to that, it will grow. Your awareness will grow. It will slowly start to fill every cell of your being. That's not only really healthy, but it will make you more and more happy. Because you're out of your head. You're here. That's the point of being mindful of the body. The second foundation of mindfulness is mindfulness of feelings. Vedana, it's called. Feelings basically doesn't mean the tactile sensations in the body. Feelings, we're talking about the taste of experiences. Pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Where you hear a sound, like before that, someone yelling out there, you hear that sound, and how do you feel it? How do you perceive it? As unpleasant. I experience this as unpleasant sound. Can I leave it at that? That's the challenge. You're experiencing something, can you leave it at that? Unpleasant sound hits the ear. Period. Done. That's how the Buddha recommends to practice. Pleasant sound hits the ear. Done. But usually what we do is, unpleasant sound hits the ear, like someone yelling out there, and you're like, gosh, doesn't she know that we meditate in here? Why does she yell anyways? Blah, 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 blah. And then you build this huge story around the yelling when it's just a sound. But in your head it turns into hell. It is not hell out there. It's hell inside of your mind. Just a sound. When we say small things, they do make a difference. Just a sound and I'm already totally disturbed. Here's where practice needs to happen, right? So this is what feelings, Vedana, is all about. Pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Whatever you're experiencing through the 6 sense gates, that being sound, sight, smell, taste, touch, and thought, can either be perceived as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So you have 18 ways of feeling the 6 senses. Feeling might be a misleading translation sometimes, but it points to the taste of an experience. The third base of mindfulness, the third foundation, is the mind, the citta. The mind meaning perceptions, conceptions, and mental fabrications mixing together with consciousness. That's the mind. To make it more simple, we just say thinking. All your thoughts, your perceptions you hold about yourself. Who are you? How are you? Are you powerful? Are you not powerful? Are you weak? Are you strong? Are you a failure? Are you a winner? Do you love yourself? Do you not love yourself? Are you successful, unsuccessful? All that stuff that comes along with it. These endless perceptions that we hold about ourselves, the Buddha calls them fabrications. Because that's what it is. So we are making up worlds in our mind. You could actually say that the entire world is nothing but mind. The past, the future, your guilt, your shame, your worries, your hopes, your fears. It's all mind stuff. That is the next base for mindfulness. So we're becoming mindful of the mind's activities. We're noticing the mind, seeing it for what it is, breaking through to the truth of the phenomena. The fourth base is so-called base of dhammas, which means all phenomena that can be experienced. So everything, every experience that arises, just being aware of everything as it arises, an experience. Now, in terms of what are we aware of those four foundations? We are aware in terms of impermanence. We see that none of these experiences last. Then we are aware of their stressful nature, that by holding on to them or trying to get rid of them, it's suffering, it's stress, it's unpleasant. And thirdly, we are aware that none of those four foundations are me or mine. Nothing that you actually experience is yourself or yours. That's pretty profound. We don't have to go into that today. But these four foundations, this is where we are resting our mind upon during the day. And that requires restraint, bringing your attention out of the fantasy world of your head into the reality of this moment. That's where practice happens, here and now. With determination, effort, mindful, resolute, you're very clear about your goals. You bring in energy into your practice, consistency, and then there will be results. And results means you'll feel more and more happiness, less and less problems, less and less suffering. That's the whole idea of the path. It's a path of happiness. It's a path out of suffering, out of stress. So actually, to answer the question that Frank had in a very short sentence, it's a lapse of mindfulness. Nothing to worry about. Just keep practicing.